can spotlight. So let us understand the spiritual enlightenment. So there is a word called enlightenment used in right. People enlightenment is the liberation. You cannot be liberated. People seek mukti. You cannot get mukti. You cannot get liberated. Because what you can get, you lose. The gain and loss applies to the world. If you are bound, if you are in samsara, you are bound and you get liberated, again you get trapped. So the liberation, bondage and liberation, both are not right understanding of spiritual journey. The right understanding is there's no bondage, there's no liberation. Okay. The Atma or the self has no bondage, no liberation. So then people say, I'm seeking mukti. In reality, they are trying to understand how there's no bondage and liberation. That means they are trying to get a jnana, wisdom. It's not about getting mukti. It's about wisdom. How there's no bondage and liberation. That wisdom is required. So desire for liberation is actually desire for jnana, wisdom. Okay. Now, wisdom is always for whom is the wisdom? The Atma or the self has neither no ignorance, no knowledge, no bondage, no liberation. Okay. So then who has a problem? The problem appears for the ego, which is identified with the body-mind complex. Ego is called Jiva. But ego itself is not an independent entity. It's a Jivatma. Jiva and Atma together is a package. So Jivatma has a problem. Feels that I'm suffering. I'm a bondage. I'm limited by body. I'm limited by intellect. I'm limited by time and space. I'm limited by body first thing, as spatial limitation. I'm limited by time, mental limitation. I'm limited by karma phala. So this is the feeling which Jivatma has. Right? So now the bondage and liberation for Jivatma. The Jivatma's tool is the mind. Mind is the tool. Like body is the tool, body is the vehicle, mind is the vehicle. The problem is there in the tool called mind. Mana eva karanam manushana bandha mokshayoho. Mind alone is the cause of bondage and liberation. Okay. Mind creates a false bondage and freedom from bondage through jnana is liberation. So is enlightenment all intellectual knowledge only? Is the question. So now if I read some 10 scriptures or 20 scriptures, I'll become enlightened. Understand? You don't get enlightened because of reading scriptures only. So where is the gap between the scriptures? Where gap between the knowledge and enlightenment is the question. Right? Where is the gap between the knowledge and enlightenment? Is enlightenment mere intellectual knowledge? It is not. We have 3 dimensions of understanding: intellectual understanding, intuitive understanding, and insight. Intellect, intuition, and insight. There are 3 aspects of our life. Okay. So intellectual understanding is based on the data. You read 10 books, you become intellectual because you can quote from the books. You can say this quote comes from this scripture, this quote comes from this scripture, you become intellectual, a scholar. Right? So now, what is the difference between intellectual and enlightened? Is there a difference? The intellectual understanding is at the surface level of the mind. 5% of our mind is conscious mind, and 95% is subconscious mind. Right? This deeper root, deep understanding at the subconscious level can conflict with the intellectual understanding. A person may say, I am Brahman intellectually, but deep inside he may feel I'm same stupid idiot. So deep inside, subconsciously, 95% of consciousness, he says, I'm not Brahman, I'm body. So the mind is 5% of the mind is eliminated. It's called intellectual understanding. But 95% of mind is not eliminated. The total mind illumination is called enlightenment. Enlightenment is not just 5% mind in understanding. If you understand 5% level, a person can be a good scholar. But a deeper understanding happens, he can be enlightened. Okay. So enlightenment means total illumination of the mind. It's not just intellectual understanding of life. So Srila Prabhupada, the founder of ISKCON, went to America. He was giving lecture. He was chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Many people became disciples. One day, a professor in American university invited him to his house. Professor said, I am teaching about bhakti. I'm a teacher of philosopher. I'm teaching about bhakti for 20 years in the college. The Prabhupada was laughing. He teaches about bhakti. There's no one drop of tear in his eyes. How can you talk about bhakti without a tear in your eyes? So how can tear come? Tear can come when deeper level of subconscious mind is affected. At conscious level, you cannot create a tear. At conscious level, if you have to create a tear, you have to use that glycerin, right? All film actors use that glycerin to cry. They cannot cry. Consciously, you cannot cry. Consciously, you can shout, but to cry, the body has to be affected, which means our subconscious mind has to be affected. So bhakti has to go deep into subconscious devotion, right? So, and the understanding goes at the deeper and deeper level, and there's no vasanas and impressions which oppose that, then the mind is called illuminated. Our subconscious mind is a repository of impressions called vasanas or samskaras called habit patterns. Okay. So the main vasana is I'm the body, I'm the mind, I'm the intellect. And mamakara, mine, my family member, my position, my possession. These are the mamakara. Ahankara and mamakara, the vasanas. They're called ishana. Vityeshana means desire for money. Lokeshana means desire for name and fame. Then putreshana means desire for children. Shastreshana means desire for scriptures also. Become scholar. Right? So many desires are there. They're called vasanas. Samskaras means habit patterns. You may want to do something, but because of habit pattern, you'll do something else. I want to study, but my habit pattern will take me play video games. They're called samskaras. Samskaras are habit patterns. Vasanas are desires. You may have vasana for something. I want to have vasana for study, but my samskara will not allow me to study. Habit patterns. I want to study, I'll feel like playing a game. So samskaras are habit patterns. Vasanas are desires. So the vasanas, samskaras are our subconscious mind is filled with vasanas and samskaras. Right? So now, a vasana and samskara has to be purified. For a person to be enlightened. Others enlightenment at intellectual level. Intellectually means I am Brahman. But deep inside, his samskaras are habit patterns can cause him disturbance for him and others. For example, anger is a samskara. But I like something is called vasana. Somebody says something, I'll get angry. Right? This is habit pattern, samskara. Some food is given, I like it, I don't like this. Samskara, like and dislike, raga, dvesha, anger, they're all part of samskara. Now, a person may say, I'm enlightened intellectually, but he may be going to may have same samskaras. If the samskaras don't affect him internally, that's okay. But it does affect him and it affects others also. Right? It causes disturbance of the mind. Just intellectual understanding doesn't stop the disturbance of the mind. Deep-rooted samskara of raga and dvesha has to be resolved. Understand? So how do you resolve raga and dvesha? How many raga dveshas are there? You don't know. Right? So your awareness has to go deeper and deeper into your consciousness. That means higher. The consciousness has to penetrate deeper and deeper. You have to become aware of yourself at the deepest level. And you should be not reacting to unwanted vasana and unwanted samskaras, and the samskaras will die. So now from conscious mind, subconscious mind is getting illuminated. It's a total mind illumination is required. Otherwise, enlightenment is not complete. Enlightenment means you can put in your Facebook and your social media. You can say, I'm enlightened, I'm liberated, you can put. But really, you are deeply enlightened, you only have to judge it. Vasanas and samskaras are affecting you or not, you have to ask. Deep rooted. Right? So, enlightenment is not just intellectual. Intellect is only 5% of the mind. 5% of the mind is subconscious. The total mind illumination is called enlightenment. There is nothing called liberation. Liberation is an illusion because bondage is an illusion. People want mukti. Mukti is impossible to get because you are already mukta. You are liberated. But what is stopping you from realizing you are liberated is your mind is the stopping block. Conscious mind and subconscious mind. Right? Understand? So, people seeking mukti, they have to seek enlightenment. Means wisdom. Which is actually total elimination of the mind, not partial elimination of the mind. If you have intellectual knowledge, you can read 100 scriptures and say, I'm enlightened. You can put in Facebook, WhatsApp, wherever you can say, I'm enlightened. But your subconscious mind is same, no? Your vasana and samskaras are not changed. Your total mind is not eliminated. Old habit patterns are continuing. So the awareness goes deeper and deeper and deepest level of your personality at subconscious, unconscious minds. What disturbs you and others, those vasanas and samskaras are eliminated at the root level in the subconscious mind. Then you will work with the total mind. Others, you are working with a fractional mind. A person who works with a fractional mind is called a scholar. A person who works with the total mind is called enlightened. Now the wisdom has to go deeper. That means you have to become aware of your deep-rooted impressions, vasanas and samskaras, and they have to dissolve in your awareness. That is called enlightenment. That's why the word enlightenment, light is required. Where the light is required, where the darkness is there. Where is the darkness? In the subconscious mind, in the unconscious mind, in the total mind. There's a light. Light is required. Light of wisdom is required. Light of awareness is required. So now we have to understand three terminologies. Intellectual knowledge, intuitional knowledge, and insight. Okay. So intellectual, as somebody is called intellectual, when he has read a lot of things, he has a lot of database knowledge. He is like a computer. You ask him any questions, he gives an answer. Example is ChatGPT. It has studied so many books. You can ask a question, it gives. Intellectual knowledge. It's based on the data. Based on the data, you can predict the future also. Past, based on the past, you can predict future also. Whereas, intuition is not a conscious process. Intellect is a conscious process. Intuition is subconscious process. You don't know why you know. You know. There are two types of intuition, worldly intuition and spiritual intuition. I'm only speaking of spiritual intuition. Worldly intuitions, people say, okay, tomorrow stock market will crash. How you know? How I don't know. I know. They're called, this is called sixth sense. I'm not speaking of sixth sense. They all come under the category of siddhis or miraculous powers. I'm only speaking of spiritual intuition. Okay. Spiritual intuition is who am I? So here, all of us intuitively there's a knowledge of I am. All of us have a sense of I am. All of us have a sense of self. Is there anybody without any sense of self? The sense of self comes from the intuition that I am. The I am is confused with the body and mind and intellect and societal status. I'm an engineer, I'm a doctor, I'm a man, I'm a woman. What is perceived is superimposed on the intuition of I am. Intuition of I am is intuition. Nobody has to teach you, you exist. So, for example, if I ask you today, do you exist? I exist. So, how do you say you exist? Which book you have studied to prove that you are existing? You don't need to study any book, but you need to study the book to intellectually give answer. Intuitionally, you don't need answer. I exist. Existence is intuition. Are you aware? I am aware is intuition. Right? Prove me that you are aware. How can I prove that I am aware? My awareness and existence is intuition. That's called existence is called Sat. Awareness is called Chit. Sat and Chit is intuition. Okay. What is not intuition is I am infinite is not intuition. Ananda is not available to directly to intuition, but we suspect it. Now, the infinite consciousness, Sat and Chitta, the body gets superimposed on that. Body and mind. So it appears to be limited. But deep inside, we suspect that. We have intuition that the limitation is not acceptable to me. I want to be unlimited. So your intuition is guiding you to unlimitedness, Ananda. So you have an intuition of Sat, Chit, Ananda. That's what is making you spiritual journey. Mind only, total mind. Intuition is just the total mind.
It's not like direct experience.
No, intuition is a direct experience. Aparoksha. It is aparoksha. Intuition, I exist, I am aware, is direct experience.
And Ananda should also be intuition.
I exist, I am aware is a direct experience.
Yeah.
But that direct experience of intuitional experience is mixed up with the intellectual knowledge. I am the body, I am the mind, I am so and so. So now what dominates now? Intuition dominates or intellectual knowledge dominates? Intellectual knowledge is dominating. Intuition is corrupted by intellectual knowledge. But deep inside, you have a desire to become unlimited, intuitionally. Okay? So intuition is there, but it is mixed up with the intellectual knowledge. Then you have to separate out with Viveka and Vairagya. Intellectual wrong understanding, you have to correct it. Now, the correction.
I didn't understand. You said Ananda is not.
We will come to that, right? We'll take it later. So now follow my logic. So intuitional understanding of I am is mixed with the intellectual understanding of I am the body, I am the mind, and the intellect. Now, intellectually you can correct also. Read 10 scripture books. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not intellectually corrected. But subconsciously you're not corrected. Subconsciously already vasanas are there. This lifetime, past lifetime, I am body, I am man, I am suffering. All those vasanas are there. Samskaras are there, habit patterns are there. Now, elimination has to happen to the whole mind.
So you're saying whatever is collected in the conscious mind is not going into subconscious.
Whatever is connected in the conscious mind, it will go to subconscious mind. Has it got deep enough to correct all the problems? Ultimately, what is conscious will only go to subconscious. When a Pandita scholar quotes from scriptures, right? Okay, he says, this shloka in this scripture comes from there. The shloka comes from his subconscious mind. Okay? It's coming from subconscious mind and intellectually is able to say. Memory is subconscious. But what is not subconscious? What is there in subconscious? All vasanas are there, deep-rooted impressions are there, and deep-rooted habit patterns are there. They are still there. So now intellectually, if you say I am Brahman also, deep inside you say I am not Brahman. Right? So the total elimination has to happen. Subconscious mind also has to get rid. Then what will happen? The wrong understanding, I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect, gets corrected at the mind level. The mental level it gets corrected. Where? Which mental level? Total mind level, not on the surface level. Understand? The total mind it gets corrected. It's called a perception. Intuition. It's called intuition. Intuition of the self. It overrides the intellect. A deep understanding I am Brahman coming from subconscious, conscious mind together, my whole mind, destroys the total ignorance in the mind. So this is what is called enlightenment. So that's why the intuition is already there. I am intuition is there. But I am suffering because I am feeling I am limited. I am body and mind. Because this body, I am the body, I am the mind, these vasanas are stored in subconscious mind. Finally, all those vasanas have to come to the surface of the conscious mind, eliminated. The subconscious mind has to be clarified. That's called chitta shuddhi. Purification has to happen. Okay. So now the clarity of the intellect has to mix with the purity, has to be combined with the purity of the subconscious mind. Clarity and purity have to go together, hand in hand. Then what will happen? Your total mind functioning. There's no conflict. If I say I'm Brahman, deep inside I'm Brahman. Subconscious mind also I'm Brahman. There's no conflict. Others, your conscious mind and subconscious mind conflict. No, you'll say still something is missing in me. I'm not Brahman. What is now I'm not Brahman? Because subconscious mind is not cooperating with you. With your total mind, are you able to feel I am Brahman? Okay, then what will happen? There's no conflict between the intuition and the intellect. Intuition understanding, I exist, Sat, I am aware, Chit, and I am infinite, Ananda. That does not conflict with I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect. So this understanding of the total mind is called aparoksha jnana or intuitive a perception. It's not a perceptual knowledge. Perceptual knowledge comes from the intellect and the mind. A perception because it's not perceptual knowledge. It is intuitional knowledge. Right? Intuitional knowledge will be so overwhelming that you feel you are free. Okay. The problem is in the mind. Correction happens in the mind, but correction happens because the deeper intuitional knowledge that I am Brahman, I am infinite. So now intellect is there, intuition is there. But inside also you have to understand. A person who talks about scriptures will only talk at the superficial meaning because he only understands the ruda artha or transactional meaning. A person who has a deeper understanding of scriptures will speak from the insights. The insights are two types. Insight coming from experience, like for example, if somebody has done a lot of stock market broking, he has an insight. Oh, tomorrow this my money will go up. This will go up because last 10 years it has happened. So he has an insight into stock market behavior. It's experiential knowledge, but it comes from the data. As a summary, he'll be able to quickly take a decision. This will not happen. Whereas intuitional knowledge, you cannot explain why it is so. It just comes from deep within. Because it is not coming from the external sources, it's your inner experience.
Is insight a new information?
Insight is a new, it may not be new information, it may be a new way of looking at things based on your past experience knowledge. Okay, a person who has a deep inner understanding, what I call aparoksha jnana, only can teach the real spiritual meaning of scriptures. Such a person is called aparoksha jnani. Such a person is called Brahmavid Shrotriya. Wisdom of scriptures he can speak. Whereas a scholar can speak based on the information, intellectual knowledge. A person who is an experienced scholar can have some insight into scriptures. A wise man or enlightened one can speak the essence of scriptures from deep within intuitional understanding.
Not insight.
He can apply it to insight also. He can apply it to intellect also. Intuition he can apply to insight and intellect also, but not the other way. An intellectual person may not be able to use the intuition. An intellectual person may not be able to use insight. A person with insight can use intellect. A person with intuition can use insight and intellect to teach. Intuition is the highest faculty. Insight is the next faculty. Intellect is the lower level faculty. So to simply say, intellect requires a data to make a decision. Insight requires an experience to make a decision. Intuition comes from within. There's no explanation of why intuition is there. There is no, you cannot give explanation. Why I exist, I can't say. Why I am aware, I can't say. I am aware, I am exist. Why I am infinite, I am infinite. So the whole spiritual journey is removing this conflict between the intellectual knowledge, intuitional understanding, and conscious mind and subconscious mind, the clarity and the purity. Is it too much? Any question, Nikhil Raido? Nikhil?
Yes, Prabhuji, I have I'm checking my messages. I'm seeing if you have answered all the
What happened now? I was just going to speak on intuition and intellect. Suddenly I saw your message. Then I thought, okay, I'll call you.
Yeah. So this answers it pretty well. So the only reason, so you're saying the notions in the mind, so you said nothing ever truly happens. Is the
liberation and bondage is
Yeah.
a concept created by mind.
Yes.
Okay. The concept created mind will not go easily unless the total mind is illuminated.
Yes.
Right?
Hmm.
The total mind illumination is called enlightenment.
Huh.
Where conscious mind and subconscious mind, deeply you understand, I am Brahman, I am pure awareness, I have no limitation.
Hmm.
The understanding has to come from deep within.
Okay.
But understanding itself is intuition.
Hmm.
Intuition is reflected in the both conscious mind and subconscious mind. That's what it means.
Hmm. So if sometimes people say ultimately nothing ever truly happens, but it's also said that you cannot describe the truth. Truth is completely is indescribable. So like why then how can one attribute nothing ever truly happens to the ultimate truth?
See,